I just watched The Wild Robot for the first time because my sister wouldn't shut up about it. She recommended this movie to me several times and my laziness always blocked me from watching it. And so I finally decided to give it a try, and oh boy was she right about it. Hi everyone, I hope y'all are doing fine. In today's video, I am going to review a pretty recent DreamWorks animation movie that is called The Wild Robot. If you guys want to support this channel, don't forget to leave a like or dislike if you want, subscribe if you want more content like this. We recently passed 100 subscribers and I want to thank you guys for it. I read every single one of your comments, and I also want to thank you guys for the recent support you've been showing to me. Enough yapping said, let's start this video. Also, spoilers alert for the rest of the video. Before giving my opinion on The Wild Robot, here are some additional information that can help us understand more about how this movie came to life and who worked on it. The Wild Robot is a sci-fi animated movie released in the global US on September 27th, 2024. It was produced by DreamWorks Animation and distributed by Universal Pictures. Its runtime is 102 minutes, so 1 hour and 42 minutes. The Wild Robot had a budget of $78 million and accumulated $330.6 million from the box office, which is a pretty good ratio in my opinion. It makes me happy to see that new and original content can still make profit from the box office and that it's just not always sequels and remakes all the time. It gives me hope for the future of cinema. This movie's director and writer is Chris Sanders. Chris had experience as a director before The Wild Robot because he directed some famous animated movies like Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, and The Croods, movies that I have watched when I was younger and that I have good memories of. He also has writing credits on a lot of movies like Mulan, The Lion King, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast. He might not have had a big impact on these movies because of the large number of writers working on these movies, you know? But at least that gives us some idea of the reputation this guy has and on what project he participated in before. And so I believe this project, that is The Wild Robot, was in really good hands. The original story of The Wild Robot was written by Peter Brown, who has written, as of today, 4 novels of this universe since 2016. His first novel, called The Wild Robot, released in 2016, was adapted in the movie that we are talking about today. So before jumping into the 2024 movie, we have to thank Peter for creating this universe that we now can enjoy on screen. The movie stars Lupita Nyong'o, if I pronounce her last name correctly, I'm sorry if I didn't, as Roz, my daddy Pedro Pascal as Fink, Kit Connor as Bright Bill, and many more. The casting of this movie has many big names, and I think these actors did a really great job at voice acting these characters. The big problem that I would have with it is if the marketing was only centered about the famous actors who gave their voice to these characters. But from what I can remember, it really wasn't the case. It would have caused a problem for me if these actors would have stolen the jobs of talented voice actors just because of their names. But honestly, I don't think that is the case here. Now, with all that information said, let's talk about what I liked during my watch time of The Wild Robot. The first thing that I liked about this movie is the animation. They used an animation style that really resembles to the one they used in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This animation style used by DreamWorks recently looks pretty unique and different from their usual animation style, which is something that I like to see. They stepped a little bit away from their usual 3D animated looking movies and used a style clearly inspired by that new Into the Spider-Verse animation wave. The only negative thing I have to say about this movie's animation is that I feel like some details are missing sometimes, like the texture of the animals, but it's honestly not really a problem. It's an artistic choice that works, so I can't really complain about it. Another thing that I liked about this movie are the colors and the environments. Let me explain why I've put these two aspects together. This movie uses different colors at many different times, and that diversification of their usage of colors is something that I love. Usually, I hate movies that take place in forests because to me, it's hard to diversify the forest environment when it pretty much looks the same all the time. It just looks green to me. I love to see different environments environments in a movie, and on rare occasion that doesn't apply. In The Wild Robot, even if the movie takes place on the same island throughout the whole movie, it explores different places, different seasons, and different times of the day. The forest looks green on daytime during summer, but it looks really white during winter. During the morning, it looks more pink and yellow, but during the night, it looks more dark. You see, it's that diversification of colors based on the environments and on the time of the day and of the year that the movie takes place in that I love. My eyes were pleased while watching this movie, and you'll rarely hear that coming from me when watching a movie that takes place in a forest. But that's not the only thing that I have to say about the colors, because they're also used to demonstrate some nice stuff. I have two examples in mind. The first one being when Roz gets hurt. She becomes red whenever she's hurt, and blue the rest of the time. I love this visible contrast with her character. The other example that I have in mind is the pink fire at the end of the movie. Why pink, would you ask? Honestly, I don't know, but it looks really unique and cool, so I will not complain about that. Another thing that I liked about this movie is how it mocks advertising. During the beginning of the movie introduces Roz by making her a satire of the advertising strategies used in our modern society. It's shown with some little references from time to time, like stickers that give discounts or rates on a scale from 1 to 10, etc.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate my performance?
I like the way this movie laughs at advertising nowadays. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the concept of the movie. I haven't read the original book before, so I don't know anything about it, but I would presume that the original idea for the story came from Peter Brown's mind. I like the concept he created of a robot meant to serve humans that ends up in nature, confronted by animals. And so, that robot learns from these animals and develops language skills and emotions that shouldn't have been there in the first place. I really f with the concept of the movie. It's pretty good. Another thing that I liked about this movie are the visuals. From the framing to the lighting, I really think this movie looks beautiful. And during this whole review, you've watched some of my favorite shots from the movie, so I guess you understand why I like this movie's visuals. Another thing that I like about this movie are the characters' evolutions. Every main character of this movie had a development throughout the events of the movie, and I like it. I have three great evolutions in mind. The first one being Roz, obviously. The whole movie is about her evolving in this world she discovered. She started the movie as a lost robot trying to find an owner or a task to accomplish.
Do you need assistance? I see your problem.
She ended up learning what it's like to be a mother, and she raised a child. She overwrote her programming by developing emotions towards others, which wasn't supposed to happen. The second evolution that I have in mind is Fink. He started the movie as a lonely fox trying to eat Roz's new child and take advantage of her, but he became attached to her because she was his only friend, and he ended up helping her raise her child. The same child that he tried to eat before, but don't mention it to Bright Bill.
Think!
You need to leave!
Finally, the last major evolution of this movie came from Bright Bill, who started the movie as an orphan, which we also won't talk about how this happened, and became a goose different from the others because he was raised by a robot.
Greetings! I see you too have feathers and wings. Perhaps we can share stories of common interest.
He learned to swim and fly afterwards. He ended up being a leader for the migrating goose, so his character really grew during the movie. I love seeing characters develop in movies. That's one of my biggest checkboxes to fill to see if I like a movie or not. Another thing that I liked about this movie is how educational it is about life and nature. The movie is obviously targeting a young audience, and this young audience has a lot to learn about the world that we live in. And so, during the movie, we learn what it's like to be a parent, and we also learn about hibernation and how different animal species live. I like the good intentions that the director had for the audience to learn more about how nature and life works. It's a journey about learning, and not just for the audience, but also for Roz too, who also learns about all these things during her journey. Another thing that I liked about this movie is its emotional tone. The movie unexpectedly becomes more emotional than I thought it would be. Before watching watching this movie. I didn't think it would take such an emotional path. Roz's relation with her adopted child, that we still won't explain how that happened again, is challenged from the moment they met to the last scene of the movie. Both of these characters think that they need to stay where they belong, which means for Bright Bill with the other goose and for Roz where she was created. But at the end of the movie, both realize that they want to be with each other, and this separation that they went through is so emotional, and I genuinely almost cried. We, as the viewer, develop attachment towards not only these characters, but also to the relation they have with each other, and we don't want them to become separated. And so, this whole adoptive mother thing is really emotional, and I love to feel emotions while watching a movie, and I believe this movie did an excellent job at that. Finally, the last thing that I like about this movie is the voice acting. I previously mentioned that this movie's casting is composed of many big names, and that I was scared that they would have taken the jobs of more talented voice actors just because of the advertising that these actors' name would give to the movie's reputation. That would have been ironic of them to do, because this movie criticizes advertising, like I also mentioned previously. But my fear was reassured. The actors performing in this movie are really good at portraying their character. I have nothing to complain about here. Their acting skills helped some scenes to become more emotional and believable, and I thank them for that.
This is a wilderness.
And I am a wild robot.
Now that I have mentioned what I like about this movie, let's talk about what I found okay during my watch time of The Wild Robot. The first thing that I found okay about this movie is the humor. It's honestly not the aspect of the movie that they excel most in my opinion. Most of the jokes felt kind of forced and not really effective. I honestly preferred the emotional tone of the movie to its comedic tone. Not that it is not funny, it's just not effective enough for a viewer like me.
As a mother of 7. 6 babies.
Peggy 18.
It's okay, Mom. I'm alive.
Yay.
Another thing that I found okay about this movie is the music. I'm sure a lot of you guys will say that this movie's score was awesome, and I honestly would not argue with you about that. It's just that the music didn't really stick with me or impacted me as much as the music on some other projects. I like when music or scores stand out because of their unique and original sound, but in The Wild Robot, I don't think the music is memorable enough. It's absolutely not bad at all, but I really won't remember this movie for its music. I'll remember it for its story and its visuals more. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is the story. I previously mentioned that I like the concept of the movie a lot, but the story itself is pretty unoriginal, in my opinion. It's really a basic story about an adoptive mother who raises a child from another species to become what they were supposed to become. I feel like that's the kind of story that I've been told many times before. I really think the story of the movie was carried by its concept. Without it, it would just have been another story about family like the others. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is the pacing. I honestly think the story was going a little bit too slow because the movie took too much time to introduce us to the environment before jumping into the main storyline. The movie wanted mostly to impress the viewers with its visuals more than with its story, and that's why I believe the pacing was going a little bit too slow. If they took less time to show the environment, maybe it would have been better. The visuals look really great though. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just the type of viewer that watches something for the plot more than for the visuals. And maybe that doesn't apply to you, and it's okay. We all watch movies for different reasons. That's the beauty of subjectivity. In my case, I watch stuff more for their story, and I want the visuals to impress me while telling a story. Finally, the last thing that I found okay about this movie are the background characters. I feel like all the animals who don't speak during the movie look the same physically and aren't used greatly enough. Yeah, I know, there's a reason why they're called background characters, but each of them could have had a more unique design maybe, or could have had a bigger impact on Roz's journey. Around the end of the movie, Roz saves all of the animals, even the ones that were scared of her. But this scene could have been more emotional if these animals actually had a bigger impact on the movie's storyline, and if somehow we were attached to them emotionally. I understand that this scene is supposed to represent how Roz is ready to do anything to help others, and even the ones that treated her like a monster.
What are you doing here, jerk?
What are you doing
doing here?
Bummer. This one's dead.
That is not funny.
But maybe, just maybe, they could have been used for more than just that. Maybe the movie would have become a little bit too long, but I don't know, I'm just saying my thoughts out loud here, you know? Now that I have mentioned what I found okay about this movie, let's talk about what I disliked during my... Oh, wait a second. I have nothing to talk about in this part of the video where I talk about what I dislike during a movie. Well, that's a first. Even for some of my favorite movies of all time, I had something bad to say about them, but I swear I've thought a lot about something negative to say about this movie, but I can't seem to find anything. Seriously. So let's jump already into my overall review of the movie. The Wild Robot is a movie that impresses its viewers with its visuals and its colors. The concept of the movie is really nice, but the story itself is pretty basic. The movie succeeds at being an emotional roller coaster, but fails at making effective jokes. The characters of the movie are really likable and they all have an evolution during the events of the movie. The movie is also pretty educational, which is a pretty nice addition. The movie shares an emotional message about what it's like to be a parent and letting her children go. I will give this movie a rating of 8.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching this video. What do you think of The Wild Robot? Leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me your thoughts on the movie. Leave a like or dislike if you want. Subscribe if you want more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.